Have you ever struggled with thinking, I just can't do this? Do you ever feel change is too tough, or felt that you will never be enough and will always be a failure? There were a lot of days where I doubt myself, and I realized that these doubts were slowly poisoning my potential. And maybe you felt these doubts too, and have moments where you've given up on yourselves, but that doesn't have to be where your story ends. I watched so many TED Talks about change, but two inspired me most. One was Carol Dweck's TED Talk called The Power of Believing That You Can Improve, shows that the way we talk to ourselves either locks us in place or unlocks our potential. And it all comes down to one powerful word, yet. Not, I can't do this, but I can't do this yet. Not, I'm not good at this, but I'm not good at this yet. That simple word, yet, changes everything. It reminds us that growth is always possible, that we're still learning, still becoming, and still writing our own story. It challenges the negativity we tell ourselves. It replaces I can't, so I'm not there yet. And when we start to believe in growth, instead of asking if change is possible, we start asking how can we make it possible? But there's this one thing that often holds us back, and that's fear of change. And change is this explained by Maya Shankar in her TED Talk, Why Change is So Scary and How to Unlock Its True Potential comes in. She explains that change requires us to leave comfort behind and step into some uncertainty. And that's what makes it frightening for many of us, including me. Yet, change is scary, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncontrollable, uncomfortable, and too far out of reach. Yet, Maya Shankar explains that change doesn't just disrupt us, it redefines ourselves, not by what we do, but why we do it. And that's the big idea I want to explore with you today, the growth that yet invites. It shifts fear into curiosity, failure into learning, and challenges into growth. And I learned these lessons during one of the most uncertain times of my life. The sirens were the soundtrack of that summer. In July 2021, the heat of the pandemic in the Philippines, the air felt crowded with people. Hospitals were overflowing, masks were everywhere, and no one felt hope was existing. And I remember the time when me and my family packed our lives into luggages, ready to move to Thailand, a new beginning. But it all stopped when we all tested positive for COVID. Suddenly, our world shrank to four walls. The rule was clear: only one person could step outside. It felt like time froze. Then my mom, always the strongest person I know, was the first to test positive. I remember the sound of her crying behind a closed door, and I just felt that it was just fragile, that everything could just be fragile. Then something shifted. That fear didn't disappear, but my mindset did. I started to see our struggles not as endings, but as lessons in disguise. That each obstacle that we were currently facing was just a challenging ingredient to a delectable pastry that God was baking for us. And when our results finally came back negative, the house erupted in joy. We hugged, we shouted, we cried, and that moment, surviving COVID together, became one of the highlights of my life. It taught me resilience, and it reminded me that I can control everything that happened, but I can always control how I respond. And when change feels too heavy, I remind myself of the power of yet. I may not be there yet. I might not understand yet, but one day I will. And that's what keeps me moving forward. After recovering, we finally moved to Thailand. Fully vaccinated, we quarantined for 14 days and followed all safety precautions. and we waited patiently behind the same walls, eager to explore our new home. And after a month of testing positive, guess who tested positive once again? Me. And you might think this is the end of the story. Of course not. This was just a practice test, preparing me for the series of tests life still had in store. And the fact that I'm here standing in front of you today is that I survived COVID. Not once, but twice. Well, sort of. My parents said it was just a false positive, so I dodged the ambulance and hospital stay. This experience taught me something I'll never forget. Change doesn't ask for permission, it comes suddenly, sometimes all at once, and it forces us to adapt, to grow, and to let go. So, we were on our 9 hour drive from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. It was a full reset. It was a new country, new language, new culture, and a new school. During that ride, I looked out of the window and wondered, what will this new life look like? After everything I've been through, I've come to accept that this was part of my story. My first ever international school experience began online. Then stepping into the building was another world. Students were allowed to go barefoot. You heard me right, barefoot. A roof of bamboo, mud walls, Buddhist values all around. And suddenly, I wasn't just a new kid. I was the outsider trying to figure out where I belong. First, I struggled, sure, but I met my classmates online and was able to make new friends. But introducing myself felt foreign. I wanted to sink in the floor because I was used to being behind the screens. But as time goes by, I begin to talk to my friends. And seriously, they thought I was 6'5" behind the screen. And seeing me in real life felt that I catfished them in real life. Despite this, my voice stayed quiet in class, while others raised their hands like fireworks. I wondered if COVID had hit pause on everyone's lives but hit fast forward to mine. It felt like I missed the rehearsals and showed up late to a play where everyone knew their lines already. And then PE basketball came. The ball hits the floor, and suddenly I'm just Andrei, the guy who dribbles, who passes, who shoots. I felt at home on the court when I didn't felt it at school yet. That's when the word hit me. Yet. I'm not good yet. I'm not where I need to be yet. And that simple addition gave me space to grow, to show up, play my own game, let people see the real me, not just the blurry face behind the Zoom screen. TEDx work on growth mindset shows that students who hold this mindset are more likely to challenge themselves, persist their setbacks, and improve over time. For instance, studies show that students with a growth mindset demonstrate higher brain activity when making errors. They process their mistakes more deeply and correct course faster. In a large scale study of more than 12,000 high schoolers in the US, they took a 50-minute online course to help them cultivate their growth mindset. On average, the grade point of students who took the online course increased by 0.10% and reduced the numbers of D's and F's by over 5% than those who didn't. This study proves that mindset isn't just an idea, but changes how well we learn and perform. I've grown to love the word yet. I'm not good yet, and that's okay because it gives me time to grow. At the age of 13, I found a book that connected perfectly with this idea of yet, and it changed the way I thought about challenges and growth. I discovered it on my dad's shelf, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Sean Covey. The title promised answers that I desperately needed, and the book delivered. One habit grabbed me: be proactive. It's the key to unlocking all the other habits because it's about taking control of your life, which is why it comes first. My dad, my dad was the one who drilled this lesson every day. When all I wanted was to sleep in and play games, Instead, he'd ask, Andre, why is your laundry pile taller than you? Did you do your chores? Your schoolwork? Before I could even answer, he'd say, if you don't lead your own life, your life will lead you, and it's not where you want to be. I rolled my eyes then. Sorry, Dad. But I now see why he pushed me to become a better man than he ever was. So I got up, obviously, knowing that he was trying to show me the difference between a proactive person and a reactive person. Being reactive means waiting for things to happen, blaming others, and feeling stuck. It's giving away your power. On the other hand, being proactive means owning your choices, turning setbacks into triumphs, and grabbing the remote control of your story. You don't have to have it all figured out. Effectiveness is about small decisions made every day, building the person you want to become, one habit, one challenge, and one yet at a time. Because of this mindset, I took small steps that grew into big wins. Joined the MUN, was able to compete in the World Cup. I represented student council, become house captain, joining both D1 in volleyball and basketball, earning strong grades, and now currently an SSI student. Now here I am, standing on this stage, still learning and growing. I'm not consistent at practicing these lessons yet. See what I did there? I know reaching my true potential won't be easy, and I'm not alone. Life will always give you challenges, but let those challenges make you grow instead of giving up. As Rocky said, it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Our toughest battles isn't with others, it's with ourselves. That voice that says you can't, you won't, you won't be good enough, we get to decide if that voice stops us or gives us a boost. Always use the power of yet. It's simple but powerful. With it, we grow step by step. Growth doesn't happen by waiting for the perfect moment. It happens when we take action. It's not about piling up achievements or chasing perfection. Progress and proactivity shapes our own learning journey. And remember, we define ourselves not by what we do, but why we do it. We're not erasing who we are, we're stepping into what we've always meant to become. Now I invite you guys to think for a moment. Think about the times when you doubt yourself. Imagine the small actions you could take every day to grow and become your best self. Hold onto that image. Carry that image with you. Always use the power of yet and don't fear change at all because it's part of our learning journey.